me something to think about here.
Hello and welcome to the AI Revolution call. I'm Cody Willard. That's Bryce Smith. We work together. That's John Deo. He's an AI professional for 30 years. And we're here to talk about everything AI related and or AI investing in AI related.
Yes.
So, Bryce, we have a few topics. I'm going to just hit these are some of the questions and or framework for today's call. That's the title of the call, I guess. We're going to deliver alpha, baby. We're not seeking alpha. We're delivering alpha. There's an AI web app for you, Bryce. Deliveringalpha.ai.
I'll go fire up Replit and have it built before the call's over.
What you could do is you could take it, instead of having actual transcripts, it instantly finds the transcript when it gets published for each earnings report or investors relations event and summarizes it in AI, creates graphs and AI web app related information off whatever data was given out on the report. I mean, you can do that in real time, Bryce.
Yeah. I can show you. You want me to show you that Excel app that everyone's been talking about?
Sure.
So it's sort of on this page, but like.
Can you clear off this comment here? It's taking up my.
Oh my gosh, John!
It's covering me up.
So there last week.
No, you see, it's broken up funny. That's not going to be a normal. Okay, go ahead, Bryce.
A couple weeks ago, there was a. Let's see here. This what do you do?
Sorry, it's his first time on the internet, so.
These guys, Shortcut AI, they made their own version of Excel, and it's AI native, and you just talk to it. And so like I crudely pasted a half-baked model I had for Google. This was my original data. Like you can see there's like shit, formulas don't even work. Like I was like, I'm just going to test this thing out. You know what I mean? Like here's some half-baked model. And I don't know if we can go find my original prompt on here, but I was like, I want a comprehensive Google model with all of the pieces of the business broke out, right? Search, YouTube, Google network, hardware, the cloud, Waymo, right? And then build it out to 2040. And I gave it some more details on that. But it's been like 15 minutes building this model, and I've had to fix a few things. But like, it put all of this together, and it has the formulas in here, so I can go tweak. You know, if I don't like the growth rate, I can go change it to 80% or whatever, right? But it's like, it is all here. And I would think, even if this isn't going to be perfect, if I was going to build a model on a company from scratch, this would still save me a lot of time.
Yeah, right. I mean, you've done this, right? Like when we put together a model for Tesla last year that went out 15 years, I bet you spent 2 weeks off and on every day for a few hours each day building the model, refining it, figuring out what other sectors you're missing, how you can improve it. And this would have cut that 90%.
Yeah. And I think what you realize is that like you spend so much time on the legwork of like, okay, this needs to multiply and then these need to add up and it needs to flow through to here, right? Like that's sort of basic logic that you don't need a very analytical mind to do, right? Like where our value add comes in is like, okay, what do we really think the YouTube growth rate is going to be? What's going to be the average time people spend on YouTube? Like that's where your thinking comes back in, but we don't need to be spending our time doing J8 times 365 divided by 1,000, right? Like that sort of monotonous type of stuff. I do think the AI obviously can do that fairly well, and then you can just come in here and change the inputs and make the model make sense. Like the model doesn't make sense right now. It's got $3 trillion of $5 trillion of revenue by the year 2040. I think that's a bit optimistic for Google, but
it's not impossible.
Not impossible. But like it's got some errors, like so this Google. Oh, that's what I was trying to work on. The Google network revenue, like it didn't finish building that piece out.
But you can just tell it
Yeah.
Finish building out the
Yeah,
Google
I
network?
told it. I didn't understand what Google Network is. So you can see, I said, you need to build out the Google Network model. And it's like, I don't understand what that is. So Google Network is Google's like third-party ads business, which includes things like AdSense and what do you call a demand side platform, DSP, and so on.
Enter. Understanding, reading.
One of the things that is kind of cool when it does this is it usually comes back and asks you questions. I'll see if it does it.
Yeah, it got it.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of earlier it would ask me more questions like, do you want these on separate tabs? Do you want it all on one tab? Like, how long should the model be? I said, go out to 2040. Like, you know what I mean? It kind of iterates with you before it just gets to work. And anyway, this is a $200 a month product. I'm on a free trial, but you know, this is the most expensive tier. You can get like a $20 a month version, but what it can do.
And would we call this vibe spreadsheeting?
Vibe modeling.
I like vibe spreadsheeting because anytime you get to say the word sheeting, it's funny.
Yeah, you're the only one. But you know, yeah, vibe modeling is good. So it's sounds expensive, but for what it does, and for people who are heavy spreadsheet users, sitting there all day in front of spreadsheets, it's killer.
Yeah, but John, you tell me, I mean, how long before Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel are every bit as good as what these guys have built? 6 months?
I don't know that Microsoft.
I mean, it's a fair question because the thing that they're doing is like horizontal. It's not like there was some choice to go into, like Google would have to say, oh, we're going to get into, retail laundromats or what. It's not like it's down some very specific thing. It's a thing they already do, like Sheets.
Right. Well, they do spreadsheets and they do AI LLM. So pretty easy to marry the two.
Yeah, like there's work there. These guys spent time making this, but I think Google has a few dollars in the bank to go do that. It's more like just do they do it?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, that's prisoner's dilemma if nothing else. Bryce, what did you say about Microsoft? You don't think Microsoft will get this into Excel, or you were being facetious?
A little tongue in cheek on that, but I do think like Microsoft has not really changed Excel in 25 years, and they've had plenty of opportunities to do so. And we're still manually typing in formulas and if-then statements and pivot tables. Like, it's just that institutional inertia is against Microsoft on changing Excel, and it's a product that everyone knows how to use. And so they have to go, risk pissing off their users if they don't get the integration right,
Isn't that what's happened with Adobe Photoshop itself, where they have no choice but to keep adding AI technology into their flagship product, but like existing users are getting confused and they don't remember how to use they don't know how to use Photoshop now, at least like they did. So
I wonder whether there's a decision that has to be made with these companies for how they structure things. Like, could Google go, yeah, we're not going to mess with Sheets. We're just going to come out with the competitor shortcut right alongside of it or something. And, they both would go and make spreadsheets, but kind of making it where you don't have to go affect existing users, make it as seamless as possible, not affect existing users.
Yeah, you used to get the option, don't upgrade, don't download the latest versions of but somewhere along the app revolution in the last 10 or 15 years, you're I still have the Tiger Woods 2017 EA golf.
Don't even
app.
Yeah. Don't get started.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. But I paid for that thing.
So that in this case, because the the kind of file you're making is the same. It's argument for it's just in the same product. It's just a different one of the. It's like pivot tables. It's just another thing it does. He's like, oh, you want to go on it's spreadsheet autopilot.
And Microsoft does have Copilot built into Excel, but nobody uses it, right? That's why this thing went viral, and all the fintech financial meme handles on Twitter were going crazy and saying, this is, every analyst at Goldman Sachs is screwed type of thing.
I wonder also about like the stuff you can make with it. You can do better with this the more that you're a power user and understand what all of the potential models are for you to go put together. If you're just the average user, it'll help. You can get some things done you wouldn't have gotten done. But if you're a power user and you know what to ask for, that's I think where it really pays off.
Yeah, there still is an art to the prompt engineering or whatever you want to call it. You called it context engineering last week, John. But I know, like, even in Replit, Cody and I have spent a lot of time in Replit, and there are some tricks to getting Replit to do what you want it to do.
That's another angle on it.
I'm yelling at Replit right now on the other screen.
It did not finish.
All right, well, let's get going. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Johnny, a couple other topics on the call today. We will analyze and debate the Agentic AI Gold Rush, moving beyond chatbots. Which companies are building the autonomous AI agents that will dominate the new app economy? John, that's what we're getting at there is just this idea that, like, most people's version of AI is still, hey, you talk to ChatGPT or you Google something and see AI mode. And that's cool. Like, it's with, the ChatGPT moment 2.5, 3 years ago was all about that. But like this AI app building phenomenon and being able to, like, any idea you can come up with for your phone or your computer, you can tell Replit or AI Studio or Bolt.new or whatever, all of these new app builders, you can just build whatever's in your mind. And it's interesting that I think, Bryce, what you're getting at there is there's probably like 3 different ways even this all works for it. You have NVIDIA down underneath it all. You got cloud providers from Google, hyperscalers through CoreWeave running the infrastructure underneath. You got the AI app builders, like the names I just said, Replit. John, is it Replit? Replit? Bryce and I have...
I think Replit.
Okay. Replit, Bolt, AI Studio. Bryce, say 2 or 3 others.
Yeah, there's Rourke, Lovable. There's also a layer in between that.
Windsurf.
Yeah.
Right.
Cursor. Yeah.
There's a layer in between the app builders and the infrastructure providers, which is the actual LLM builders too, because the Replit these days aren't making their own LLMs.
Correct. So the cloud infrastructure to the LLM infrastructure to the, and by infrastructure on LLM, I mean the actual LLMs, this large language models like Anthropic, Perplexity.
Well, there's becoming an infrastructure around those as you get to the, agents and things, and which is the other aspect. So we talked last week about, this way to, like, rapidly, automatically, smartly create apps, but they were largely apps that were like the, previous generation. And then the next generation ones are the ones that they may be apps, but they are also smart. They're not smart to make them. They're smart in them. And that's where, stuff we didn't, talk about as much, but where things are headed with this, these agent capabilities. It's like, well, what's that going to enable? The fact that you are making a thing that, staying away from the AGI thing, but that start to act like what you'd expect, like a person acts like. You can ask it to do stuff. There's this now kind of way of measuring, of saying, like, how long can it go on its own? used to be a minute, then it was an hour. Now it's closer to a day.
What do you mean? It can go how long it can process ideas on its own?
How long it can take one problem and go work on it. Yeah, like go off and like the research type stuff, which both OpenAI and Anthropic have, where I think Google may as well, where you kind of put it in research mode. And I did one that I fired off on ChatGPT and Anthropic at the same time with the same question. And the ChatGPT one found like 15 references, and the Anthropic one found like 350 references. But the result on the ChatGPT one was more on target to what I was looking for. So it was interesting. Then neither one of them has it totally down yet, but both are interesting in what they can go do.
John, on that, I have a question. Like, there seems to be consensus now that Anthropic Claude is the best at coding. It's pretty much integrated into all of the AI coding applications as the default. You can usually you can switch them out, but it seems like most people agree that Claude's best at coding. A lot of people think Gemini and ChatGPT are better at like long form reasoning and analytics. People think ChatGPT is the best at like emotional. Like a lot of people all the influencers are like talking about using it for therapy and like how to deal with their girlfriend or whatever. Like it's surprising to me because they're just these probabilistic models trained on much the same data, and yet they're even within the LLMs. There's a divergence into what people think they're best at. Grok is best at science and physics. Is that true, or is that just our perception of these?
I mean, I think it's true. First off, now why or how they differ, there are differences in the training. There's differences in the reinforcement learning. There's like differences like what they were even aiming at with some of the different ones. I've come to use Anthropic Claude as my go-to. Today I was doing something and I thought, ChatGPT can handle this, and it was a Cypher query. Cypher is like SQL for graph databases.
Instead of SQL is you're going to like
SQL
you look from one acronym to the other, and
SQL, as most like people who've been dealing with spreadsheets, but then go on to like pivot tables. They get onto things like select employee from employees table where name starts with S or something. So that's SQL, structured query language, and it just pulls things out of the type of database people have been working with for the last 20, 30 years. So the newer kind of database, the graph database, has its own language like that, like structured query language. So it's called Cypher. And
how do you spell Cypher in this case?
CYPHER. And it's now an ANSI standard, which means it's just it's accepted as like the way to do it, just like SQL is for relational. And so I go to the the language models and I say, make me this query, because the query is kind of complex. Complex in code might be a couple hundred thousand lines, whatever. Complex in one of these queries means that it's 40 or 50 lines. It's this thing about yay big, but it's still got enough going on in it that I want help. So I get it and I'm running it and from ChatGPT, and I'm getting the result back, and I'm like, no, that's not right. And I'm showing it what's not right about it. And it's like, oh, that's because I did this. Oh, that's because I did that. And it starts correcting things. And then when it gets around to it, it's fixed these things here. And like whack-a-mole, the first thing it got wrong is wrong again. So it's like, all right, so I go over to Anthropic and I hand it the query, however related it was. And I go, here's something that doesn't work. And what I'm trying to get it to do is blah, 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 make this work. First try, just hand it back a working query. So there's definite difference.
It's incredible. Just even when you describing what you do every day that I use these AI app builders right now, I'm just flabbergasted at the amount of code it can generate off of a random prompt. I was on Hugging Face .co today, just looking at the databases of AI applications and different, I don't know, whatever else they had on there. But, one of the things, the most popular thing on there right now is a deep seek.
Deep seek, yeah.
Well, no, it's a deep seek deep seek is underlying, it's like deep code or something. And it's an AI app builder built on the deep seek LLMs. And it's like, I didn't have to log in, and I was like, hey, here's my idea. And it cranked out not a finished product, but 80-90% of what was a finished product in about 5 minutes. And this is, again, a free website that I didn't log into using a Chinese LLM that I didn't log into, none of which is running on anywhere near my computers. And I'm like making web apps that actually do stuff.
The seems like the limitation is just what can you think of doing?
Yeah.
Because on the side of doing it, that's not the limitation.
So, John, like Bryce, you're making this like eating, calorie tracking, fitness app that you had in your brain. If I may, basically, it's like you were using one. You're like, this thing sort of sucks. I should be able to like take a picture. It should know what's in like the caloric content, at least generally, of whatever I'm about to eat. But even the thing that you're doing right now, it works. You take a picture of a hamburger and it's like, hey, that's a hamburger. It's generally 550 calories, unless it's got cheese, and then it's 650, and the fat content's this. It gives you all your data. It's fantastic. You can submit, I'm tracking this, no. But it will get to the point where you're literally just wearing your Meta glasses or some button on your shirt or something, and it knows that you're sitting down to eat. It knows that you're drinking something. It knows that you're even eating a granola bar on walking. And it's like, oh, snapshot. Oh, that was a Quaker Oats chocolate chip bar that's 280 calories. And you're not even going to have to engage with it. It will be passively agentifying itself around your daily health, eating, and workout habits.
We talked before
Your
about
watch already sort of knows that, right? Like when I go on a bike ride, it's a fucking Tim Cook Apple technology, so it's not very good. But it at least about half the time is like, hey, you might be 10 minutes into a bike ride. Should I track that? I'm like, yeah. And it's like, all right, you're 3 minutes into the bike ride. Okay, thanks. But
we've talked about like, well, what's missing from these LLMs, or capability wise to get where we're going. And like one of the things we've talked about is memory, and how so when you sit there at a chat prompt and you ask something and you get a really smart answer, and a second later you ask something and it shows it has no idea that you asked something a second ago or what that had to do with. So I'm picturing Bryce with his app and is taking a picture of food, or just it's on video, like you're saying, it's the glasses can see it or whatever, for it to like keep track over time and go, that's every day this week that you've blah blah blah, or and be able to start to deal with the pieces and piece them together. And it seems to me that most of what's needed has been invented. It's a matter of like putting it together.
Like we need compute and memory. Like we need 1,000 times more compute and 1,000 times more memory capabilities. And then, then the cost of remembering your food for a week is truly de minimis in the cloud. And
well, already if it's able to turn the video at, 1 gigabyte per whatever, into a little phrase of text, granola bar, and it can say granola bar 1 million times right now on your, it's nothing.
Yeah, I think that's what makes what Replit did so well, is that basically they integrated a bunch of stuff that already existed in a really intuitive way. So that way, as a non-developer, you can make apps. Databases existed, and authentication existed, and LLMs existed, and it's like, hey, let's figure out a way to make these things talk to each other so an LLM can build it. And that's basically what Replit is. They didn't have to go out and build their own LLM or database or anything. They just integrated what was all there, and it just works.
So again, it's down to the idea. It's what are, what are you going to come up with to make? And then how are you going to distribute it? How are you going to get feedback, whether it is doing what people need or not? And then how are you going to set that up to have a good loop back on, oh, good, I'll make that update. If you're wanting to do something like out there with what you're doing, it's up to the ideas now and carrying them out.
Absolutely.
That's right. So let's get next topic. That's what we just hit. Agentic Gold. Actually, John, on that note, are we going to get to the point that we're envisioning where you can even just talk through the app to some interface and you're not even looking at a computer screen and correcting it, and it'll just, yeah, I need to live stream that and I'll put that feature in for you? And
so thinking two pieces that have to happen for that. One is just the voice interface, which clearly exists in other places, but now even I think in the latest version of Windsurf, which is one of these automatic coding apps, it's one of the type that it's full stack. It'll make front end and back end code for you. So they just incorporated voice, so you can sit there and talk in what it is you want to have happen. But the other thing you said there is, you've got to lower the error rate enough that you're not bringing them back, to the screen for that. Or is there a way, it's not done until it's done, just to do with audio in the other direction of, okay, I got what you're saying, but can you tell me this or whatever? So yeah, it's one of those ones where I don't think it needs new invention of anything. Somebody just needs to go do it.
Bryce, thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm thinking a lot about the investment implications of this, and Cody and I have talked about this extensively. But it seems like to me that the companies that are providing some of the back end services, the pipelines, the databases, the things that you're still going to need in the AI app revolution, even if the amount of apps that goes up by 100x or something, I don't know that all of those companies are set up to benefit. It just depends on how fast they can integrate. But the Mongo databases or Okta, these companies that already have existing services, which you need in software development, the faster that they can integrate into these AI tools and these AI app builders, there's going to be, I think there's going to be a divergence where you have the ones that successfully pulled that off in the amount of time that they had, and the ones that are still trying to find their way in this AI world, they're probably going to get left behind.
Well, there's this kind of I don't know if you call it middleware, but other pieces of the puzzle that are starting to fit in to make development happen faster, like MCP, Model Context Protocol from Anthropic, but it is open source, free for everybody to go incorporate. And it's this way to make it easier to front end. So you got something doing something with an LLM and figuring out answers to things, and even carrying out application things. It's the new kind of API in a way, except you don't have to go write code every time. If you plug it in, then it makes your stuff smarter. There's things like that showing up to make this, to make there be new pieces to the puzzle and make it easier to make the new stuff.
Is MCP the standard? Is that now the de facto standard? Because at one point there was sort of I thought Google had their own thing. Maybe Salesforce was using something else.
Google has its own thing, which is A to A or agent to agent interface or something. And so MCP and the Google thing are complementary. You could use them both. And to say standard would be it's a little early for that, even to say de facto standard, but widely used, and people talking about it a lot and saying how they're making stuff happen with it. They're taking kind of a role like what Python did with programming, where it's like just, okay, everybody's using it for building their machine learning models, because of the PyTorch library, just a thing in that Python has available with it. So everyone's doing that. So now, since everyone's on that bandwagon, new stuff just shows up there. And similar thing with MCP and with the A to A or whatever the other one's called.
Interesting.
John, is it possible, like, are these AI app builders that we're talking about, Replit, Bolt, AI Studio, et cetera, do they, and now Microsoft this week, by the way, released their Copilot AI app builder also. I'm just trying to sort of like figure out, looking 3 or 5 years from now, are one or two of these truly differentiated? Are they commoditized? Because it feels like there's some commoditization of it already when we're like, well, Claude's better than ChatGPT, which is better, but all of them are doing amazing app building stuff for the people using them, and each of them have millions of users building apps. So, like, in your best guess, are there one or two that end up becoming sort of the de facto standard AI app building platforms? Is there going to be 20 of them? Will they be leapfrogging? How does that play out?
I mean, I think it's similar to the LLM platforms themselves, where, like I heard this thing about Anthropic, was it last week or something, that they are like blowing through money so fast and going to be in trouble and all this kind of stuff. It's just different. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's the different talk. But what was interesting from it was people saying, there's room for another one of them that's at their level of being, that's at having that kind of relationship to supplying LLM cycles to the world on a very high level. So there's room for that, right? So, okay, so let's say there's, 3 or 4 that are actually making decent money or have really high level of activity. I think you get the same thing next, which is 3 or 4 that are at a high level of activity. And it's just like, because of some differences that are choices those folks make about what they want to offer, because we think people will like this, we think people will like that, and they're kind of both right. They've just taken different, angles on it.
Is this when we get to that mysterious place of AGI, even ASI, artificial general intelligence, but let's go with artificial superintelligence, ASI. When we get there, is that, when we're talking about there, is the ASI itself will build turnkey apps no matter what your thought is, how many databases and cipher graphs it's going to need, and how many JSON, HTML codes, lines of code it's going to need? Like, is that what we mean when ASI, it's not just like it knows everything, but it can build anything on the internet and the software world?
So no one seems to have definitions, but taking the ones that I've heard that I could say seem to make sense. AGI would be like when the computer, the system, whatever, is as smart as or smarter than the typical person across all the ways that a person thinks. So today it lacks common sense in so many ways. It doesn't have memory like we do, so forth. So but they've been upping the kind of what do you call the ante on what counts for AGI now? Like, no, it's PhD level on all these things, whatever, But this is the AGI. ASI is supposed to be when it's smarter than all humans put together. Right. Not just smarter than the smartest human.
And that's what I mean. If we get to that point, does it smart. It's smart enough to code better than any Satoshi Nakamoto or anyone else in the history of coding. And it can just code, hey, like whatever your dream you can dream up in software, it'll code.
What you dream up, because that's the thing, is it can't dream up. It's not, that's the one area where whatever they're doing to make things smarter, it doesn't go, you know what I think would be really good that's not out there that should be, and if it happened, blah, blah, blah. And
even that seems like it's going to happen.
I don't know.
I already go to these things when I'm building an AI app, and I'm like, what else could I add to this that would blow someone's mind? And they're like, oh, you could add this. And I'm like, okay. Like, it does come up with creative ideas.
And that's what I hear called taste, and which is the thing that humans have more of. It has it, yeah.
Some of us have more taste than others.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We all want to be. Yes.
All right, Bryce, let's in on some earnings stuff.
Okay.
John, you'll have to stick around and suffer through our commentary and/or chime in and yell at us at any moment. Look at that face. That's harsh, dude. All right, tech earnings postmortem. It's not really postmortem yet, except for 3. Like, we got 4 of the Mag 7 reporting this week. Last week we got Tesla, Google, and Instruments, but that's not a Mag 7. Who's the other? What?
IBM was last week.
IBM, also not a Mag. Let's Tesla. Look, the stock, the markets, everything's looking past a cheaper Model 2 low-end car. They're looking past declining market share in EVs in Europe because people hate Elon.
Looking past means they're not paying enough. They're not.
No, it means the market doesn't care. It's looking into the future, and like it rightly knows that Tesla's not worth $1 trillion because it might sell 1.8 or 1.9 million cars this year. Like, it's worth $1 trillion because it might conquer autonomous vehicles. It might be a cyber cab business that changes how human beings move around the planet. And beyond that, it's looking past all of this near-term stuff and being like, hey, the Optimus robot could change blue-collar manual labor forever. And we don't have human beings doing much except helping the robots get the manual labor done. So the market's looking past all of it anyway. The one thing the market will not look past is Elon Musk on the call saying, Bryce?
Trump politics.
The next 2 quarters are going to be fucked up because EV tax credits. The minute he said that, the stock, Bryce is the one who told me this. That's why I asked him the question. He literally, I'm like verbatim quoting a conversation from Bryce this morning.
Yeah. Well, except the reason I didn't respond is because now the market has rallied the last 2 days and ignored that too. So
fine, but the market did freak out the first day. It was Tesla was down 8 or 9%. It's now higher than it was than before the call started. So the market did end up looking past even the next 2 quarters being tough. You're right, Bryce. It was a trick question, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Elon. He did say, well, I thought you were going the political route because that's like been such a big part of the stock story since November and Trump's election. But yeah, I mean, on the call, they didn't talk politics really at all. It was Elon and the team are all in on autonomy. It seems like more than they ever have been. And they're focused solely on scaling robo-taxis. They put off the Model 2 release so that they could sell through their current inventory with the EV tax credit. But clearly even Tesla is like not putting much emphasis on putting a cheaper car on the market because they realize it just doesn't really move the needle if they can solve, real world autonomy.
Johnny, any thoughts on Tesla?
I'm wondering if does Europe opening up more of their market to U.S. autos help Tesla? How were they there before?
It doesn't hurt, but Tesla already has factories in. They got a gigafactory in Germany, so they're not importing the cars themselves. But any, less tension of trade is always good for a global, supplier. It's the vendor to the planet, like Tesla is. Tesla's definitely been losing market share in Europe for the last few months, and probably mostly because, everybody hates Elon and Trump. If you're a liberal guy, and most of the people in Europe were, they don't even have air conditioning because they're so worried about the climate. And Elon was their savior before he became their devil. Whatever. It's all going to work out if they solve autonomy, is the point of the story. And it'll really work out well if they solve Optimus robot human.
Yeah. So I had an Optimus question. Speaking of autonomy, do you have a sense with the latest things that they've been showing, the way they've been talking about it, what a rollout might look like, say in 2026 and after? Would it all be factories at first? Do they try out some domestically, or what do you think would happen?
Well, there was a big article in the Information over the weekend and elsewhere. People are buzzing about the fact that Elon basically, even on the call, he sort of like guided down expectations for near-term Optimus robot stuff, and took the number that they think they'll make this year lower, and even in another 2 or 3 years lower than what the market was sort of like juicing itself up for. The point, though, when you see that, one of the reasons why is because the hand itself is so difficult, complicated, intricate. That's a great word. And it's difficult. They're having a hard time getting a good hand technology working. And I guess what I would say is this: if Tesla's having trouble building a functional, high-end, really great humanoid robot, that means the guys that are supposedly going to compete against them building humanoid AI robots in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years are even further behind. Their robots might roll out sooner than Tesla's, but they will suck and not nearly be the quality and the dexterity that the humanoid robots, the Optimus robots from Tesla, are going to be. So if Tesla's having problems making humanoid robots, so is everyone else. I fully expect that Tesla is the highest. It's like it'll be the iPhone of the humanoid robot market, and then there will be some Samsung and Huawei's and some other versions of humanoid robots out there, but the Optimus will be far and away the best product.
Who owns Boston Dynamics now?
It's a PE firm.
I think it's part of Honda.
I thought it was part of Honda, part of a car company. So theirs looks pretty capable.
Yeah, but John, you've always talked about the fact that the Boston Dynamic robots have forever been built on hard coding and not machine learning.
Not anymore. That was the other stuff. The new generation for them is the one that you've seen it like it's lying on the ground, and it stands up facing the other way, and then it starts walking toward you, and it inverts itself like in a weird way that humans never could, the way it swings and turns around. But they've shown it dealing with, that's not it.
Yeah, this is the Unitree, but we can talk about that in a second.
Unitree does like Kung Fu. It does everything, but it's also about 4 feet tall. But that one, I don't know what kind of like person with a joystick there is. But like if you have the one for the Boston Dynamics, that when Boston Dynamics,
Bryce, what are you doing pulling up Unitree when we're talking Boston Dynamics? Like, that's not good TV production at all there.
Oh, wow.
I thought this was more relevant because it came out over the weekend. That's the only reason. I was going to talk about it next when John got done with Boston Dynamics.
Fair enough.
But now, well, since I'm talking about it, can you get one for mine?
Does Boston Dynamics have a demo?
Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, as soon as you see the one line on the floor, it's not brand new.
There it is, right there.
Yeah. This is from April of last year.
Yeah, that's okay. So when they switched to electric, and this looks like it's facing the other way, and then watch comes walking toward you by switching its face around, then its legs around, and it's like, no. So, but it can do very specific kind of picking and placing down to like within a centimeter and stuff, and like deal with stuff, changes to things. And so because there's more recent stuff from them in the warehouse. And I'm just saying there's other people doing useful stuff where they may not have.
Look, and that's what I'm saying. There's going to be competitors. There's going to the humanoid robotics market, total addressable market, is tens of trillions of dollars. So if you get 1% market share, you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. So I think it's safe to say that there will be a lot of competitors, and the companies that create humanoid robotics platforms with lots and lots of applications and services and technology and dexterity and safety protocols, they'll be the ones that win. I fully expect Tesla is that dominant player in that market, but there will be even Google
and
robots.
So people are starting to have LLMs kind of built into these things so that it's walking, talking, listening to you, having whatever topic come up and stuff like that.
Speaking of which, I got Grok in my Model S. I don't have it in my Cybertruck yet, but over the weekend I got Grok in the Model S, and my wife and I went out there last night and sat down and grokked. It was amazing.
3 or is it 3 or 4?
What?
Grok 3 or Grok 4? Grok 4 is the one that came out like a month ago or less. Yeah.
It's not Grok 4 yet. It will be in a week. I don't know.
Yeah, it's in your dashboard somewhere. But I see it should be considerably, better performance. But like if it can not just, because right now it probably is doing the kind of stuff like you could go ask it a trivia question. But what you want is that it's actually integrated with what it sees out on the road and goes, boy, that traffic's going for a while. It's like to actually be able to make use of what it sees to talk about.
Yeah, I did have it tell a fantastic story about unicorns battling dragons over rainbow food. And
Lincoln.
Yeah, I told it needed to keep the entire story under 20 seconds. Pulled it off.
So there's that. And then there's like, are we still going to be talking about transformer technology, the stuff underlying LLMs, 3 to 5 years from now? Is that really what's going to be going on? Or is some of the other stuff that's in research going to finally step up and like show how much more capable this stuff can be?
Isn't it both?
If it is, then it's because you've got agents, a team of them, and one of them's off doing the old LLM thing, and another one's doing the new thing, and they're talking to each other and so forth.
Yeah. And the chips are just going to get better all the time. The network's going to get better all the time. And the applications will get better all the time. The LLMs will get more efficient all the time. It all.
Yeah. And there's been some,
Chevron's,
what do you call it, guidance or whatever from like the administration about AI and what, like one of the things was.
Yeah, I didn't watch that shit.
Yeah. One of them was, what's his name? David
Sachs, the jackass.
Yes. David Sachs talking about, you can't let it get caught up in one of these, every state has its own regulation kind of things. Like if you're building a nationwide highway system.
And nobody was talking about that.
We have 1,000 regulations already coming up in all the different states. So there's people talking about it. You're just not listening.
And nobody cares.
Yeah. Great.
No, look, and China came out with framework for that, like basically we're like much more open and embracing of other countries. So, supposedly, but all that stuff is for show. It's all politics. It's all bullshit. Like the regulations are coming. I know that, but I don't think any states are there's going to be a national and international framework for the regulation around AI.
Because people have to pay attention and make sure that's what happens. But in terms of China, like look at DeepSeek. I wouldn't have expected all of this open source coming out from China, but it's the way for them to be disruptive. So it makes sense for them to do that.
Yeah. Agreed.
So we hit on Google.
Oh, Google. All right. Yeah. Google's earnings were fantastic. Search was great. YouTube was great. Everything was great. Everybody was like, oh shit, it's going to suck. They're probably going to zero tomorrow, but it turned out it wasn't.
So I had a dream I went back in time 10 years and I went to use YouTube. And of course, it was easy to use because it was exactly the same as it is today.
I don't know that that's true. We have good YouTube Shorts now.
Oh, wow.
Innovations right
Great,
there.
great TikTok ripoff.
Yeah, there's yeah.
All right, Bryce, make predictions for Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and Apple this week. What do you have? You have to say, will they beat top and bottom, and what will the stock do the next day?
I say Amazon and Microsoft both beat top and bottom, have very strong cloud revenue growth numbers that beat estimates. And probably when you get both of those, the market takes the market higher, takes chip stocks higher, probably takes Amazon and Microsoft higher. I think Meta is set up to underwhelm, I would think. But that being said, their ad business and the social media business is nonstop. That thing is always.
Are you getting a notification from Instagram right now?
No, it was a phone call.
What's that?
And Apple probably, there's not much expectation for Apple. So I'm going to say that they're going to miss on the top line, or they're going to miss on the top line for some China tariff stuff. And then it's not going to be as bad as people think. And so then the stock will be up 5%.
I like all that analysis. Can't disagree with any of it. I think the Apple stuff is interesting because you're right. It's almost like it's sort of like what we were talking about with Tesla. The market's looking past like Apple's horrific AI strategies up till now, and at some point in the next year or two, we need to see some pudding proof if from Apple's integration with AI, something better than. Do you want me to ask ChatGPT that and then never responding when you say yes?
Very sad.
What do we know about GPT-5 from ChatGPT? It feels to me sort of like the regulation stuff. Nobody cares. Like, I don't care. Like, there's a million AI improvements every day. I've been hearing about ChatGPT for a year, and they're like, in 2 months. It'll be into another 2 months. Someday. Who cares? Like, it's fine. I'm sure it'll be amazing, but it's no ChatGPT moment.
One question I have, John, is so OpenAI rolled out like their agent. It's kind of, they had Operator, which was supposed to be able to be agentic and go book reservations and things for you. And so I tried the agent after it came out and asked it to, I'm going to take a trip in November to go watch a football game. And I was like, hey, find an Airbnb, 8 guys going, UT, we want to be close to the stadium, blah, blah, blah. And it couldn't hardly do anything because it can't get past the two-factor authentication, Cloudflare, verify you're human. And so does model context protocol solve that somehow? Like,
it would have to be.
Is it a doomed effort to try to have AIs use the regular internet because they can't verify that they're human and solve the
right? Because you have to log in everywhere.
Yeah, it couldn't do shit.
Yeah, the MCP thing would have to be set up out on that ticket whatever box office server. The places that you're trying to go to, having those ones go.
So like Airbnb and Vrbo need to have model context protocol built in to the back end somehow.
And even if they did, you still have the issue of what are you doing for? You can't just say there's no authentication. It's got to.
That's what I'm asking. Like, how they have to figure out a way around that somehow.
Yeah, and the other thing that what they're doing with this agent stuff is, to me, they're chickening out. But maybe it's what they had to do is they're making these things exist and look, it can operate different applications. they're like virtual applications in its own little fake world where it has its own little browser and so forth. It's not using your browser. It's not getting at your file system. It's going and being in this little clean room thing where it goes and does its thing. So I think that they did that because they can control that environment and know, what will work or not. But to me, that's sort of like, okay, so you got part of the way there, Yeah.
If only there was a company that owned the browser that we all use and could seamlessly integrate AI into that browser and give it real-time access to all of your tabs and your login and passwords. Oh yeah, there's.
Oh, you mean Chrome? If only there was some company that had that, and there's
the Chrome browser is such a huge advantage for Google. That's why Perplexity is launching a browser. ChatGPT is rumored to be launching a browser because that's the window into the world where everything's at. And unless you're Google with Chrome, you can't natively access that stuff.
Have you ever used Microsoft Edge?
Yeah. It's usually when I'm like trying to like test something where I'm already logged into a website and I want to be like, okay, I need to not be logged into this website to see how it works. And so I go to Edge. And
yeah. He's laughing there, but if you look at the menu items in Edge and the ways different, it's like on the surface, it's a little different. It is Chrome. They both are using the Chromium engine. Right. And it's the same. Like I don't use it really.
What, did Microsoft just put a different skin on Chrome?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, they built it off of the open source Chromium project.
Chromium is the underlying. So laugh about it, but they're the same thing. So
yeah, that's why I laugh at it though, because it's such a joke.
I use Chrome.
Microsoft. That is just so. Doesn't it say the whole like that? Microsoft copying. Using Google's browser technology to build their own browser is the reason we're long Google and short Microsoft, and probably will be forever. It's a pair trade for the decades.
Well, at least though Microsoft invented Windows and the mouse. Oh wait, that wasn't them.
No.
Oh, that was Apple. Oh no, it wasn't them either.
You know what they did? They built they built the underlying operating system.
Oh no, they didn't. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that interesting? All of their innovation is
literally DOS. Even DOS was an acquisition out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is always top of mind when you think of tech hubs.
Yes, Albuquerque. Yes.
Yeah,
it's funny. Gates used to live there, right? Right at the beginning of it.
I literally have a T-shirt that I wear when I go to like tech events in Albuquerque, and it's Bill Gates's mugshot from Albuquerque for speeding.
Well, he's about to get a new mugshot, I think, but
earlier he got a ticket for going over the number. Now he might get in trouble for going under the number.
Spicy take. Okay.
He needs to pony up a little bit more to Trump's 2028 re-election campaign, and he'll make sure he'll never.
Which I heard he's as good a chance of winning in 28 as his last competitor does. They're equal number, 4%. One of them is like it's not even legal to do, and yeah.
I think there's a much higher chance that Trump is president in 2029 than there is Kamala Harris.
So.
All right. Any last words? Let's get out of here. I got some vibe coding I need to go do.
That's true. Yeah.
John, I got a quick question for you. I'm building this incredible web app using Replit. Everything is looking and working flawlessly. I'm so proud of it, but I even have live streaming capabilities. You can share your screen to show people how you're vibe coding. It's totally cool. But I cannot get it to store, like record the videos and store them. And like Bryce and I have spent hours trying to get it to work, and we can't figure out what prompts or something that we need to do. We're like, build a new database for this. We can't.
So first of all, I don't think it would be a database, because if you're talking about video, it's just a big file that you're sticking on a file system somewhere. But do you know anything about? I know you're not coding, but do you know anything about the code that it's making? Like, is it all JavaScript or is it?
No, well, I think that is the problem. I think the video code is based around JavaScript, but it's doing a lot of HTML and even JSON, at least.
No, but I was talking about code. So that's all front end stuff. So, and I think that's what Replit really focuses on. And this is when I talk about full stack, I'm saying you've got front end and back end, and these other tools like. I wonder if they could pick up from where you left off.
That's what's actually my next question. Could I copy the code, go to Claude, and be like, I need to get videos recorded and stored somewhere, man?
Well, the thing that I was going to say Cursor or Windsurf, but the thing that they have over Claude is they work with a whole code base. So in Claude, you're going and you're pasting in the little bit or uploading files to give it context, to give it the idea of what do you know so far? What do you have to work with, right? That's how with Claude, you're kind of piecing together, giving it, that's why they call it context engineering. You're providing context. With those other ones, you're pointing it at your whole set of files that got created by Replit, and that's your code base, and it can go search within it and pull in what it needs from the different parts of it. That's why you switch to something like that. And if you had it, you'd have your back end, whatever it goes and uses for that, like a lot of times it's Python, is going and it needs a place to put that video file. So, and that's a back end issue.
John, I downloaded Windsurf last week and was playing with it. Could I download our current project that Cody's been working on, like in a zip folder, upload it, or put it into Windsurf, which is on my computer, and tell the issue, and you think it might be able to help fix it?
Yeah, you don't put it in Windsurf so much as you sort of point Windsurf at it. Windsurf and Cursor, they both look like Visual Studio Code, which is kind of a standard coding person's editor. They look like that, but they're these companies made their own sort of like fork, their own little version of that. And you are saying, open that folder, and it's opening that code folder, and then it can see all of what's there. Yeah.
But you think there's a chance if I did that, it might be able to help us fix the storage problem with the video?
I think you are upping your level of difficulty, and it can do it, but whatever was going super fast, it slows down a bit. It's still faster than if you're like straight up coding it. But then when you go to think about doing it or whatever, first is don't just set it off to go do it. Let it see your code and then say, how could I store this file? What do you suggest? And tell it not to change any code, so that it's just talking to you and it goes, oh, well, I would stick in a new program and it would do such and such. If it sounds like what it's suggesting is like easy enough, say, okay, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
But if it doesn't work,
John, it's just amazing how much Bryce and I are learning about like the AI revolution by being down in the weeds and
awesome.
Working on these apps and playing with them. And I keep telling Bryce, I'm like I don't know how we monetize what we're doing as hedge fund managers playing with AI codes, but I know we need to. I know we need to be playing with it. I know we're learning, we're going to make better investing decisions over the next 5 to 10 years because we go down and try to figure out how Windsurf ties into Replit code and stuff like you just described. Here's a guy, Don Andrew, wants to know, have we tried Claude Code? Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, I use it every day.
Yeah, Brian.
No. Actually, no. It's more specific. Actually, that's a good question. Claude Code is not just Claude.
Okay.
Claude Code, and what's cool about it, at least the way I think of it after I haven't gone and used it, but I've watched stuff about it. And if you have something like Windsurf and what it does for automatically going off and making new code for you, Claude Code is getting even a little bit lower level, and it's like you could make your own Windsurf by using Claude Code. It's CLI, meaning it's command line interface. So you're in a terminal and you're telling it one thing at a time that you want it to do. But say like part of what Windsurf was doing was looking through places in your code where a certain type of blah, blah, blah was happening, and it should go fix them or whatever. You can make those yourself, go and say with Claude Code, I want to make a piece of the engine go do this kind of thing, go do that kind of thing. And as you're piecing it together, you're automating your whole coding. It's not something for you.
John,
don't use it.
It's interesting though, because I've told the story on here before about when, I don't know, 20 years ago, I was playing around with a app that I was basically trying to organize all of the copyrighted content on YouTube, because I figured that correctly that there would come a day when it was all okay to have copyrighted YouTube content, at least a lot of it, not all of it on the planet. And we were manually going in and like finding Judge Judy videos, clips to put into the database. And you created a code, a snippet that was like, hey, type in the words Judge Judy, and my code will go be an engine and go find that and then put all of the videos it finds on that search into your database. It's like but that's what I'm saying. It's like the more things change, the more they stay the same in many ways. And the only way that Bryce and I can understand how AI coding is vibe coding, app development, and the revolution that is developing in front of our eyes and changing the world is to be here and go do the stuff you just described. That's my last word. John, you got 30 seconds last word, and Bryce, you got 30 seconds after that.
My last word is, I saw this video, I can't remember where, this guy was talking about something kind of interesting where he's saying, everybody's starting to talk about agents and they're using them to automate things, but they're missing the point. What you really should be looking at with agents is simulation and modeling is like, and this relates to all of what you've been saying. It's like, you can go learn how to do all these things, but what's really going to be the value is this new way you look at the world of investing, the world of everything, as you piece together your own kind of world out of these, pieces that you make and you make sense of. And that's what we're need to continue to do, is this kind of sense making, and then we'll get.
John, it makes me think that like the smart will get smarter, and I mean, I guess everybody will get a little smarter over time, being able to use agents to do a lot of this stuff in this world. But if your agents are doing things that are actually value add to the world, you're going to make a ton of money versus people that are just sort of interfacing with video game entertainment or something. By the way, Don has one other thing to say about Claude. Claude Code is an agent that has access to your computer. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the whole
right. So this is what I was saying before about like the other thing happens in a separate area and whatever. This one can happen on your computer, but I don't know about this everything a person can do thing. It's like, yeah, like technically. But it's not been there yet in terms of actually making use of it like that. It's more aimed at coding in particular. They had another application, more like the operator thing. But anyway, so agree with what you're saying, Cody. I would just change the word smarter to like the one. It's like those who are on the curve and continue to add to what they have and know and do are going to go like this, and those that are just not are going to stay like this.
Bryce?
I just copied the Claude Code NPM thing, John, whatever that is, and put it in my Windsurf terminal, and I'm going to see what it does. So
NPM is Node, so it's JavaScript backend.
Cool. We'll see if it helps us fix our app.
I said like I caution against it's going to be, but for you guys who are trying everything out, certainly try it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we have nothing to lose. We upload the code in there. If it doesn't work, we've got it running on Replit without the recording. It's still a freaking cool app. I'm going to show everybody next week. Here's what Dan said. He meant that Claude Code can change permission, execute code, read files, etc. It's not on a personal level. We agree with you, Dan. John certainly was reiterating.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing it up, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, it's good comments. And please come back next week and yell at John about anything. It would be great. All right, I am David Sachs. That's Chamath Palapatalia. And down below is Jason Kalkanis. That is the All In podcast for this week.
I'm David Sachs. You can be Kalkanis.
I'm damn sure not Chamath. Anybody but Chapin.
Hold on, Dan. Dan, what do we need to be careful about? You can't be careful with the comma and leave us hanging. Was that like a?
Is it for
I
picking
think
on
you
all
think be
in?
careful about calling yourselves the All In Podcast.
Oh, I'm all
right,
about
because we're
David
totally
Sachs.
going to confuse people with our million subscribers.
yeah.
No one's gonna.
Let me be clear. David Sachs is a jackass. Cal Canis might be all right, and Chamath Palihapitiya is a fraud, a piece of shit, and he should be in prison.
One out.
Yeah. Malware. Be careful of malware and Claude code.
This is be careful with your Claude code thing.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody watching this cares if I call Chamath Palihapitiya a piece of shit. Bye, everybody. I'll leave you with that.
Bye.
Thank you.